You are listening to the Nosy Dragon. I'm your dungeon master / innkeeper, Jessa. I'm joined by my players / patrons, Ben.
Good evening.
And nobody else. In today's session, we talk all about Chromatic Dragons. This episode was made possible in part by Oxyshine. More about them later in the episode.
Woof. How's it going? Hello. I am here. And as I think you'll notice, behind me, I've got a bit of a prize I brought in today.
What's that?
It's large, it's round, and it's got something inside it. Can you guess what it is?
Your belly.
I poached a dragon egg.
Why would you think that I would like that? What in your right mind would make you think that I'm cool with that? That's a good thing.
That'd
be like, hey, I've got something cool. It's round and warm and dead. It's a pregnant woman I boiled. And I'm gonna cut open her pregnant stomach and eat her unborn child.
No, not poached as in like cooked. I mean like I took it.
Oh, okay.
Jeez, what kind of monster do you think I am? I'm not gonna cook an unborn dragon.
That's why I was very confused as to why you were. I was thinking like, oh, interesting. I guess you'd like to die and never return to this material plane.
I found a dragon egg out on its own and I brought it here because I don't know what to do with it.
Is it a metallic dragon egg?
I don't think so.
Because then I'll have to kill you again. Anyway.
Wait, no! What? It's
chromatic eggs are bad and therefore a morally gray area. I've always thought that dragons were nature versus nurture, but I don't know. I raised a baby green dragon till he was 57, wow. And he was the most mischievous little bastard ever. And pretty much once he figured out, how to cut ties with me, I never saw him again. So. I don't know. I think, I believe he was a little bit. I'd like to think he was less evil than your average green dragon, but I mean, yeah.
Wow. Well, it's quite the emotional and traumatic dilemma I've brought into your tavern today. Sorry about that.
All right, so this episode, we're talking about dragons, specifically chromatic dragons, which if you're not familiar with the words, metallic is gold, bronze, copper, silver, and something else.
Gold, bronze, copper, silver, and...
tin. Pewter.
Zinc. Aluminum.
Gallium. The gallium dragon.
Lead dragon. They just have guns.
A bullet breath weapon.
Oh wow, someone's homebrewed that, I'm sure. But that's not what we're talking about today.
Quicksilver. Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember the last one for whatever reason.
I think it might be just those few. It's gold, silver, copper, bronze, and I think that's it.
Gold, silver, copper, bronze, blank. There's a fifth one. Whatever.
I can't think of
Brass. There we go. Brass.
Brass and
Yeah.
bronze are so similar. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, speaking as a gold dragon, bronze are just knockoff gold dragon. Just people trying to knock off. Brass is what people use. I don't know, bronze too, but both of those metals are people polish them and put them on things to try to make it look like it's
yeah.
gold when you
At
can't
least,
afford to put gold
at
on
least
them.
with brass, they've got good music taste.
Ah, I see what you did there. Well, then there's also the chromatic dragons, which are the standard colors, the RGB. Got your red dragon, you got your blue dragon, your white dragon, your green, and your black.
Wow, that really is RGB. I've never thought about it.
There is RGB dragons. Black, white, and yeah, there you go.
Interesting.
All the colors. You could use chromatic dragons to make an LCD screen.
Oh, wonderful. You just take a little more blue dragon away and you get a little closer to like yellow or orange.
Exactly. Yeah, so how to use dragons in D&D. So often dragons can feel like they are, it's in the name, Dungeons and Dragons, but dragons can feel like this. They're so epic that they're too epic, and so they often don't see play in your games because it's like, well, if I bring in a dragon, people are gonna run, or it's not gonna go well. So we're just gonna be kind of discussing how you can make dragons, specifically chromatic dragons. I almost said traumatic dragons.
a little too much conversation earlier in the opening bit. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I don't know. In my experience from D&D that I've played, dragons, they're few and far between. You don't see them everywhere unless a campaign's specifically built out to be like a dragon-centric campaign. And even so, I haven't really played one like that. But even, like, I don't know, I feel like in campaigns that both I've DM'd and I've been in, there's been at least one dragon interaction. If not, they take up a large place in some part of the storyline. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that I've done to bring dragons to the table, to make it into your game a little easier, is to power down, to lower their power level, to bring down their challenge rating. And how I do that is I'll either cut their hit dice in half or cut their damage dice in half, and maybe reduce some resistances, get rid of half of their resistances or all of them. And then you can go ahead and throw a dragon at a group of, level 3 players, level 2 players. And if you use a young dragon as a template and then you do like 1/4, and then also use their breath weapon once and have their breath weapon do like 1/4 of its typical damage. That's a way, and it's still going to be very challenging for them, even with a young dragon. I mean, and now also there are other, typically it's kind of like red dragons are the most powerful,
Right.
and then I think blue, then green, then black, then white.
I think it's white then black because often when
That's
you're
racist.
facing. We're talking dragons here, man. Don't cancel me on this.
Yeah, I think black dragons are the weakest dragon. I think that might be accurate. I wasn't 100% sure. But yeah. So I do that for a low-level party. I expected them to find him in the town he was hiding in between level 1 and level 5. And most groups would find him around level 2, something like that. And he was a black dragon, a young black dragon, with his health cut in half. I think it reduced his AC by 1 or 2, just to make him a little bit more hittable. and then I reduced his resistances to like just piercing or something like that, just
Mm.
bludgeoning, just so that he's a little more damageable. And then
Okay.
I reduced his breath weapon from whatever it is, it's a lot of damage, to like 1/4 or 1/2 of that. And then I only used it once. I didn't bother trying to recharge it because, yeah, if I can use a breath weapon on a group of adventurers twice, even at 1/4, they're pretty much toast. So,
Hmm.
and I brought him in. Not only was he powered down in that way, but I brought him in uh, with dialogue first. So he talks, he appears and he speaks to the group.
Right.
Yeah. So whether or not they fight the dragon is up to the group. It's not so much
Mm.
guaranteed
I feel like that
combat.
can make such a difference, especially like as you mentioned, dragons have this sort of enigma about them that like they are these near penultimate beings, like extremely powerful, extremely old, wise, and like masters of magic. So having interactions to be able to begin without it immediately going into combat, I think is a good way to kind of circumvent that. Like if your players are more on the hesitant side, thinking like, "Oh God, this is a dragon. Like I really got to be careful," then you can still give them a venue to interact and engage with the dragon without having to feel like that they're going to come out of it charred to a crisp. Although, depending on what dragon it is, frozen, melted, uh, poisoned, the like.
Yeah, I think if the group doesn't know they're going to meet a dragon in the next whenever, I think you should definitely not have a dragon show up without it talking first. If they don't know that
Mm,
they're going to encounter a dragon, you should have the dragon speak to them first, even if he's telling them how he's going to eat them, or telling them to leave or die or whatever it is. Even if it's hyper aggressive,
mm.
what he's saying, you should have them say something first to give the group a chance to kind of have that moment of, oh my gosh, this is a dragon.
Yeah. Even
Um,
like if you're in those sort of like dynamic roles and conversations, you could even have it happen that they give you like a quest.
yeah, yeah. I think making dragons a part of your world, showing their intelligence, showing their the complexity of what a dragon is, and
Mm.
how they shape and form the world and impact it through the way they talk. So
Yeah.
I would say that this is important. Our next kind of point here is how to role play a dragon. So
Oof.
a little
Yeah.
bit is, a good voice can go a long way. If you are playing online, which most of us are these days, but if you're playing online, you can use Voice Mod. It's an
Mm.
app, not a sponsor. Download Voice Mod, and then you can pipe your audio into Zoom or Discord or Roll20, wherever you're role playing online, and then you can have it change your voice to give you that deep, gravelly, angry dragon voice.
Yeah. Or if
Uh,
I'd say even if you're not the most vocally apt person, there's always even just the slightest distinction that you can make makes a difference. Like by
yeah,
varying your own voice and practicing at voices, like even just saying some of the lines as your character, like you don't have to actually have things written down for them, but just saying things to yourself as that character and practicing that way can be really helpful before you come into like contact with a big character, uh,
mm,
like a dragon.
yeah, and I like to roleplay the dragons differently. So, like red dragons, I give them that kind of really angry, very aggressive, very hyper, almost primal anger kind of, superiority, and I make their voice like deep and like, who shall tremble in my path? They're kind of like, whoa,
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
whatever, which is also really hard on your voice, which is why I recommend Voice Mod.
True,
Because
true.
yeah, that conversation will not be long with that dragon if you got to do that voice, because you will soon be like, I need some water to
Yeah.
You're gonna be hoarse the next
Quick,
day.
take your actions. He's casting something. Yeah.
Blue dragons, I like to show their cunning and their intelligence in kind of talking slower,
Mm.
kind of more elegant, more poised, more reserved in their lawful evilness. Kind of hello, who dare come to my passage?
Mm.
What is it that you require? Less gravel, less anger, less fire and brimstone, more calculated, more accuracy, right?
Yeah,
more
conniving.
more yeah, and more planned and less boastful, less arrogant.
Mm.
And then green dragons are known as like tricksters. They're kind of like Loki in a sense. They're
Yeah.
supposed to be slippery and whatever, so I like to add in a little bit of kind of
Yeah,
stuff
it's
like,
almost serpent-like, right? I
yeah.
totally imagine green dragons having that kind of snake-ish
I'll
tone.
cut you a deal.
Yeah.
Let's play a game. Yeah,
Look who slithered into my lair. Yeah.
exactly. Simple but easy and straightforward, and it communicates kind of that, the devil, right? The
Mm-hmm.
serpent's tongue, kind of don't trust what he says, because he's tricking you or lying to you or duping you in some way. He's gonna betray you or double play you, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's also good to come through in their language, right? So if you have like an ancient dragon, you could have them use like
Like Shakespearean English?
Shakespearean English, exactly, yeah,
Oh man.
because it's like they're so old, like, who hath entered my dungeon
Mm.
must longeth for death, and it's like, huh? It's like, well, because he's super freaking old.
Yeah. I think it definitely adds a bit more to the mysticism as well. Like you're playing in a medieval fantasy campaign to have a creature to express that, be an actual dragon. I feel like that's such good
Yeah.
flavor.
Thou art about to maketh a great and powerful mistake.
Thy error shall ripple through the airways, carrying shame down thine path as far as thou can see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
White dragons, I make them very, very curt, very, very short, very frank, no charisma, no kind of very, not that they're not intelligent, but just very, very, very base level of interaction.
Yeah.
Um, White dragons are like predators. They really see the world kind of in a more of like a bestial way, and so they're kind of less interested in politics and dynamics and stuff like that. So they would just be kind of like one answer, one word answers, kind of stuff.
Mm.
Very straightforward, simple questions.
Eat.
Yeah, not in a way that would allude to them being dumb, because you don't want your players to think like, oh, this one's stupid. Oh, we can probably
Yeah.
outsmart it.
Right.
Because it's like, no, they're not. They are definitely the dumbest of the dragons, but they're not dumb. They still have like a plus 13. I mean, a 13 or something, like a plus 2 or whatever to their intelligence. So they're not dumb. They're just,
Right.
they're the least smart of the smart dragons.
Yes. Sure.
But also they're the most aggressive in the predatory way. A red dragon is aggressive in a way that it wants to assert its dominance and show you its power and have you fear it and revere it. Where a white dragon is about efficiency and it's like going for the kill kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Got it.
so, get off my territory. I kind of like to go for kind of like a whispery thing, because it's like the howling winds of the cold mountains.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Mm.
Yeah. Black dragons, I kind of go for, they are curious. They want power, but they don't have it.
Mm.
They're kind of the runt of the dragon community, and so they're trying their best to be impressive and to be powerful, but they haven't got the confidence always. So I like them to, I'll kill you all. Wait, well, I'll kill most of you. Not because I'll leave one of you alive to tell of my tale. So
And then
kind
a little
of
flourish of the tail.
not literally.
Maybe literally. No, I that's an interesting concept. I never looked at black dragons that way. Like, I definitely see them more as, like, they are certainly the runts of the dragons, but I feel like they, like, the way that I imagine black dragons is more of, like, a herd mentality. Because black dragons, from what I've read, often, like, live in packs of 2 or 3. Their numbers are more like I would almost play it as, like, the black dragons are sort of like they speak for one another. Like, even when it's just one of them, it's like, we will not speak with you unless you show your turn and respect.
I like that. I think that's a cool idea. Definitely something to distinguish them from the rest without making them seem. Again, you want your dragon. I don't know what you want, but I would suggest for you to make your dragons powerful seeming.
Absolutely.
And it's so you have to be careful if you're like with the dragon second guessing themselves or correcting themselves. Again, you don't want to communicate like low intelligence. Just that they are, like maybe a lack of confidence, or that overcompensation. I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, someone can be very powerful and still very overcompensating. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about their perspective.
I am a tremendous dragon, okay? The greatest dragon of all time.
I've got a lot of gold in my hoard. Like, a lot. Like, you wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
How much.
I started my dragon hoard with a small loan of 1 million gold.
You see, I'm a dragon. I've taken control. I know what I'm doing. It's been so long since I've heard him. Thank God.
Yeah. So yeah, how they speak literally is in tone of voice and the kind of words they use, but also the kind of language they use. Like more elegant or regal, kind of the upper speak, as though they spend a lot of time speaking to kings, queens, and gods, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And less time speaking with the low, the rabble, the little. And I mean, that might also be perfect, having a black dragon use more like commoner speech, because he spends more time around commoners and stuff.
Yeah, even giving him, like, a little, like, Cockney accent or something, or, like, I don't know. So, like, make him swear more.
Yeah. You fucking imbecile. Get out of my swamp.
Perfect.
Donkey. All right. So yeah, those are little ways. I also like when role playing dragons, to show off their anger or something, is like their breath weapon in the air. So when you're speaking to a red dragon, when he gets angry, the room gets hot. Or when you're speaking to a blue dragon, your hair stands up on your arms as you feel like the static electricity in the air. You feel, or you hear like buzzing in your ears, or stuff like that. Stuff that communicates that kind of thing.
Green dragon's like a plume of green smoke dribbles out of his maw, and you like a foul stench fills the air.
Yeah, like your nose burns, your eyes water, as the acid or poison, whatever it is.
No, greens are poison, so it's the noxious fumes.
Yeah. And then cold, yeah, the cold dragon is just the white dragon's getting cold. Is you're talking, you can feel your hands beginning to get numb.
Oh, that'd be really cool. Like you have a sort of situation where anytime that the ice dragon comes, like people start seeing their breath, and that's how you know it's about to
Exactly.
attack.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so
exactly. Or you red dragons, like everyone's like, man, it's hot in here, sweating so much. Jeez,
But it's
oh,
like,
my balls are stuck to my leg.
oh god, that's that's the
Did you say
legendary
your
ball
balls?
stick.
I'll stuck to your leg. A red dragon is in our presence, men. At attention.
Oh man,
I love it.
oh that's so good.
Did you say it's cold? It's July.
Yeah.
I can see my breath. Yeah, black dragons would be.
You said it smells like someone farted in here? Shit! There's a green dragon in our midst!
Yeah.
It's like, that's not a
Yeah,
dragon.
yeah. You
That's
can also
Jerry.
describe red dragon is like sulfur. Right, that's like a common
Brimstone, yeah.
Mhm.
That sort of sulfury smell.
Just think of those kind of things that can really help bring the impressive nature of a dragon. Or you can go the other direction if you want them to not be so frightening and impressive and great and magical and amazing. You can just be like, you can bring up how typically you'd expect those things, but they're not occurring around this dragon.
Yeah.
And you guys know as seasoned adventurers that means that this is probably a young dragon or something like that to put your players at ease.
I would say if you want to put your players at ease, but you don't want to like necessarily weaken the dragon itself, you could give it some humanizing traits. Like, let's say you go and you like your characters bump into a dragon and it's sleeping and you wake it up, instead of it immediately like riling up and you see its scales furling, maybe it can be like, oh man, God, really weird dream last night. Like Hakabalugi or something.
Yeah. Yeah, just little things. I think that's a cute idea. You waking a sleeping dragon. He's like, oh, it's been 100 years already.
Checking like this like huge candle on the wall to see how far it's drooped.
5 more days. 5 more days.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could even like have a dragon be like easily distracted. That's not necessarily dumb, but maybe it's got like ADHD or something, or like it's constantly thinking about something else. Maybe the dragon has a fondness for a certain type of creature, thinking that they're cute. Like ways to make or like have it be easily offended by something, and not in an outrage way, but like, oh, it really hurts, man. Like, wow. Like, real cool.
Oh, you think, oh, a dragon, and run, it's gonna eat us or something. It's ridiculous. I don't eat gnomes.
It's gross. It's really gross. It's really demeaning of you.
It's very presumptuous.
Yeah.
To just immediately come to the conclusion.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just because I'm a green dragon, I stink? I take my hygiene very well, like very seriously, I'll have you know.
Yeah, I don't eat any asparagus.
I only eat people.
My poison breath smells like flowers and dandelions.
That'd be a really funny character, like a green dragon who's really conscious about how he smells, so he's constantly like wearing perfumes and like putting on body spray and deodorant.
Yeah. Don't smell poisonous at all.
Yeah. And that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be just something small. These are great tactics for any characterization when, giving them some sort of a flaw is a great way to make them to show their normal, that they're less than grand, even though they're ancient.
Mm.
Um, or you can have them be unfamiliar with something. It's also an interesting technique.
Yeah, yeah.
Then they're asking questions. Well, where'd you get that? How does
Mm.
that work? Huh, interesting.
Very
Or just
fun.
having simple needs and wants, like a green dragon, and be like, "Oh, I just want you to get rid of those bees." Like, I don't know, whatever it is, just something that it's like, "Oh, well, the real reason he's doing this is because, yeah, the farmers, honey farms or whatever, are bothering him a lot because now the honeybees are messing up his grove or something, and he's like
Mm.
constantly getting stung by honeybees. It's like
Yeah.
just really annoying.
Mm-hmm. I try to poison them, but even more come, and usually they just fall asleep and then get back up again.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah, definitely. Characterize your dragons if you can, or if you like, if you're using them as BBEGs, the characterization can come more with like backstory and like
yeah,
writing
yeah, yeah.
something that's convincing, having them have traumatic and like heartbreaking experiences.
I was thinking when you said backstory, I mean like NPCs talking about them. I thought that's what you meant.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that too. Like, but no, I was more speaking to if you want to try and like humanize them or make them more approachable, give them give them as much backstory as any other character. But yeah, go more into that, like rumors about dragons.
Yeah, yeah, like rumors and stories and stuff like that. So people are like, "Oh, well, we always set up the offering altar every year because," and they give this long story about how whatever, and they're like, "Yeah, one year we thought we would just use the offering altar to hire people to kill the dragon, and we hired a small army, and you know, well, they were all killed, and the dragon, made us do horrible things and killed all of our, pets, or I don't know, something.
Or
They
better
just tell.
yet, they're like he actually accepted all the dead soldiers as an offering because he got to eat them all. So we actually got off clean on that one.
Yeah, so it's just something that communicates like, oh, this is not a moment. This is not us saying, uh, go ahead and try to save this town and stop the offering from being collected this year. It's because your players might think that that's like a side quest. Or I guess better yet, you can have like a destroyed altar with like burnt whatever everywhere, and it's like, what's that? Like, oh, that was where the dragon received his offering, and then you tell the story. Because yeah,
Yeah.
putting a challenge out like that for your players
Oh
is
man.
something they just can't refuse.
Yeah. That's like you got to give that late game. You're not getting that to your level 2, level 3 party.
Even if the entire party is like packing up, I mean the entire town is packing up to leave, and they just leave the offering in the center of town, and they're like all go to this cave or something to wait it out. The party is still gonna want to stay behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just can't
Absolutely.
help it. They're just
Mm.
gonna be too interested. So,
Yeah. In which case you got to be ready. Hmm.
but I think that's a good point. Showing the world why is this dragon, an evil source in the world, and it's kind of how is he impacting the locals? How is he
Mm.
impacting cities and governments? Are is the biggest major city, giant and walled, these massive walls and covered in giant harpoons and stuff like that to try to ward off the red dragon or the ancient green dragon, whatever it is, the dragon from messing with them.
Yeah.
Are they a coastal town? Is the city built into the side of a mountain? What's the deal? You know?
Yeah. Definitely like I think taking into account where this dragon is coming from, how long it's been that the dragon's been around, like maybe this is the first dragon sighting in like centuries, And that's why people are so terrified about it, is because for so long people haven't seen dragons, they've fallen into legend. Or maybe they're so common that they're seen as like political leaders, like maybe they
Yeah.
pay homage to the dragon for protection from other dragons. And like, even though it's not really like a thing that you can choose to do, at least there's some semblance of peace given, like, yes, we pay taxes to the dragon so that everything's fine. It's just the way that the world works.
Yeah, yeah. At least with us being ruled by this evil dictator dragon guy, uh his boundaries, the borders of our island country, whatever, are clear.
Mm.
And no one's going to try to come in and clean up our town and clean us out of all of our goods and
Yeah, no. If I
clean
mean,
us squeaky, shiny, clean.
saying all of these words for no particular reason is really making me think of our sponsor today. Do you mind if I run the ad?
Yeah, man. Let's hear about our sponsor, Oxyshine.
Hi, Billy Mason here with the new Oxyshine metal armor. Has this ever happened to you? You walk into battle with your armor gleaming and walk out with it looking like cobalt dung? It's rusty, it's dirty, it's bloody, and it just doesn't shine. Well, not anymore. With new Oxyshine steel armor, you'll never have to worry about looking bad out of battle again. Slay your enemies in style, and with so much gleam, you'll be practically blinding them. With our brand new offer, you can get a second Oxyshine steel armor set for a small creature or smaller for free with every Oxyshine armor purchase. That's right, you heard me, free! 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 And no, this isn't an illusion spell, this is the real deal. No smells, no mess, guaranteed. For only 9 installments of $19.99, you can get your Oxyshine steel armor today. And if you order with the code NOSYDRAGIN, you can get the Oxy Wand free, cleaning better than over half of the current brand prestidigitation wands. Call 1-800-OXSHINE to get this exclusive deal. Don't just shine it, Oxyshine it.
Oxyshine armor does not cause blindness in your enemies. Oxyshine does not have resistance to acid damage or fire damage despite it being clean after such encounters. Oxyshine is a cursive armor that cannot be removed once stunned.
Wow. Oh, man. I gotta say, Oxyshine is my go-to party armor. Like, if I have to go to a fight and then, like, a royal gala afterwards, it's my pick for sure.
Man, I would go halvesies on you with a suit. You can keep the suit. I just want the Oxy Wand.
Really? I mean, you could still get a suit for yourself because it does have. I'm technically a small creature, so you could get the normal sized armor, and then I could get the free small one.
Well, I wouldn't need it. I mean, I would, if they made the Oxyshine for gargantuan creatures, then I would go for that one. But
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. But still, yeah, the Oxy one, the fact that they just throw that in there, I still have like 2 Oxy wands in my, like, at all times in my kitchenware. It's like, it's so convenient. Anytime doing dishes, it's just bam.
I need some of those. Help me clean up the bar.
I've been noticing your mugs have been getting a little bit.
My wand of prestidigitation is okay from Fulgury's magical mundanities, but I could use a little upgrade.
Yeah. Oxymon's the way to go.
Speaking of upgrade, I'm now going to mention something that has nothing to do with upgrades. Are dragons in your world magical or natural? So what I mean by that is, like, are they naturally inclined to magic? Do they know certain spells? Would a dragon know, like, counter spell or something like that? Or in addition, are their breath weapons magical? Is the acid, fire, cold, fire, I already said fire, lightning damage that their breath weapons do, is that an elemental thing? Is like a natural thing? Like, oh, well,
Yeah.
you see the dragon, rubs the particles in his body and it creates a severe static whatever, or they've got the coil muscle in their abdomen that expands and contracts rapidly and produces a lot of static electricity with a
Yeah.
spinning whatever
They've got like an actual like
lightning
gas that
bone.
builds in a certain gut chamber that when it reacts to like a spark on their tongue, it ignites and turns into flame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it like that or is it magic? So if you have a dragon in an anti-magic field, does his breath weapon not work because it's magical? Or does it still work because it's fine? Do your players that have magical resistance to magical damage, do they take half damage from a dragon's breath weapon? Or do they take full damage because it's natural? It's not magical.
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like either way that you play it, both of them are very, very powerful, but in very different ways. Because if it's natural magic, or like if it's caused naturally, then the amount of things that are resistant to it actually I feel go down. Like you have to be like if a dragon is breathing fire and creatures have magical resistance, that doesn't mean that they're gonna have dragon fire resistance.
Yeah, exactly.
And it also, I think it definitely connects them more to being like sort of you can play them in more of a primordial way. Like they are sort of the centers of their like respective elements. Like you're gonna find a red dragon in a lava, like in a volcano. Like
to that note, if your dragons are magical, if a white dragon picked a mountain to live in, that mountain would become a snowy peak potentially, right?
Yeah.
Where if you're doing natural, you'd find a white dragon in a snowy mountain peaks because that's where he's most comfortable. And the same with red dragon. A red dragon would be in a volcano, or does a red dragon moving into a mountain make it a volcano?
Yeah. Just
By being there. Because if you look at ancient dragons stat block in the monster manual, it shows you their layer effects. And it says like certain effects will go away after the dragon dies. Like this many days, these things will leave the local environment. So that tells me that they're magical. Like the mountain being volcanic is because the dragon is there.
Right.
So I think that it's kind of both. It's kind of like, well, yeah, a red dragon might be more attracted to a naturally volcanic area, and he makes it extra volcanic by being there. But he can still pick a regular place and then make it magical with his presence.
Yeah, I feel like inherently speaking, dragons are magical from the way that they're written in the Monsters Manual and the way that they're depicted throughout the various books from Wizard of the Coast. And I think a great point on this is how the hell are dragons able to fly? Like, they are huge, lizard-like creatures. Their wings are way too small in order to provide lift. It's got to be magic that's carrying those bad boys. It's got to. It just...
You have a dragon fly through anti-magic field and it like starts to fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's happening? Just flapping like crazy. I don't know. As much as I say that, it is, I think, definitely to the discretion of the DM. If you want to make your dragons more natural and like just have them be more connected to the natural world, go for it. Absolutely. Make those those designations. You can kind of play it a little bit more as if like a bit like Monster Hunter. The Monster Hunter game series, where yes, there are dragons, there are wyverns, there are creatures, and they are intelligent, but they're also very connected to more animalistic ways. They have migration patterns, they have like mating rituals, things that kind of distinct them as their own like animalistic creatures. And I think
commoners have migration patterns too. Okay, they all go on vacation in the winter.
All right, but you know what I
to
mean.
warmer climates.
I gotcha. I don't know. I think that you can play it in various ways depending on
I
how
see
you want to
mating
set the
rituals in
dragons.
this inn every night. People come to this bar.
I, uh,
I'm just kidding. You're my only patron.
that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, I haven't done anything in this inn. I'll have you know. And if I have, I blame your drinks because I don't remember it.
Yeah, a common thing about dragons being dragons being magical, is that with metallic dragons, they can shape change when they become ancient dragons. They can change what they look like, but chromatic dragons actually cannot. And I think
Oh.
I'm not sure if it's because it's like, oh well, I don't know where it comes from, but it's kind of like it should. I think that's something you should kind of try to stick to, because it communicates. You don't have to worry like, oh, is this person I'm talking to actually a dragon? Like, is the king of Neverlandia, like, is that a red dragon in disguise? And it's,
Yeah.
well, probably not. I mean, um, in the Critical Role TV show, in the first episode or whatever, they fight a blue dragon that is a politician,
Mm.
and it's like, oh, well, he can transform into a human looking person, and it's just like, yeah, I guess, I don't know, whatever fits your campaign setting. If you want them to be able to turn into people, I've definitely also done that in my campaigns using chromatic dragons, allowing ancient chromatic dragons to transform into people as well. It's just because sometimes they're just so gargantuan, is just so large.
Yeah. It's hard to
It's
fit
just
them
really
just about anywhere.
difficult. Yeah,
Mm.
and that's partly why I run this in this human show form. I can afford to build a building that's big enough for me to be behind the bar, but it would be a little inconvenient.
Yeah, for everyone else, like I don't want to have to climb up the stairs to get my drinks.
Well, I would build the tavern like 4 stories down, and then I would just have my head right at the bar level and use mage hand to serve drinks.
I don't know. I feel like that's pretty novel. I don't know. That'd be pretty hell with planning and zoning though. Like you'd have to go through a lot of hoops to get a space that big, and there's traffic and road regulations, things like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it's a lot harder to clean the little spaces. So
Right. I've gotten accustomed to this form that you've taken now. As far as
Yeah, me too.
dragons, okay.
I wonder
cool.
if I can even change back at this point.
Oh gods! Oh yikes! That's something to bring up. As far as chromatic dragons shape changing like into humanoids, I think like you said, you got to be careful with it because I mean, there's the factor of like, is this person I'm talking to a chromatic dragon? But there's also the fact that that's an easy way to humanize them too. Like, I think something that makes dragons really like impressive and exciting is their size, and it's the fact that, the form that they take. And I think it's almost more so compelling if your chromatic dragon is making a dealing with someone. Like, you have to take into a fact that they're also very prideful creatures who place dragons above all other beings. Like, that's something that's expressively written for red dragons, but I believe it's true for all the other chromatic dragons as well, is that it makes sense logistically that they would not want to lower themselves down to as puny and pathetic a form as a humanoid when they are already,
I think that's a good idea.
perfect beings.
So you can have like, they do transform into people, but they're like always large category or very tall, very big.
Yeah.
And they might still retain horns. Their eyes might still look draconic. They might still have sharp teeth. They might have claws on their hands. So more of like, almost like a werewolf, a were dragon. Yeah, like they're clearly still quite draconic. Like they have a tail, or maybe they turn into like a half dragon looking creature or a dragonborn looking creature. So they're still very heavily draconic in style and look. That's not lost on anyone.
Yeah.
You know, they might still have wings, something like that, but uh,
Because they're too
they're
prideful to give up their
yeah
form entirely.
they want to be seen and felt as a dragon.
Yeah, for sure.
I think yeah, that would be a great thing to do for chromatic dragons, that they can turn into half dragons with wings or something like that. So they look like fully draconic. They look like a dragonborn. That's why I say half dragons, because half dragons have tails and wings. Dragonborns don't. Well, like half dragons can have wings, don't always have wings. So yeah, I think like, and they're a large category, so still big, but not so big that they're too big to fit into most areas and things like that. I think
Yeah.
it's a nice little way around.
Overall, like the number one you want to think about is flavor, like how you want to flavor the dragons for taking what forms they take.
Personally, I think I flavor red dragon with like a lot of spicy stuff. So I use a lot of cayenne pepper, chili powder.
Wow, I come in here with a dragon egg in the morning, and you're like, "Oh my god, you're gross for eating dragons." And here you are talking about spices.
Hey man, if I kill a red dragon in combat,
Oh boy, oh god.
you know how much people will pay for red dragon meat?
Look, when you start serving it on the menu, that's when I'll start paying for it. But not a moment before.
Red dragon meat is actually kind of strange. You have to cook it in reverse. You actually have to cool it down.
Because it's molten. That's
It's so
funny.
freaking hot. So you're like
Wow.
putting red dragon meat on like ice.
Now that's what I call flavor.
Now that's a reverse sear right there.
That's cannibalism. Is it cannibalism? Yeah, I think so.
I think so. I mean they're different enough. It would be kind of like, think it'd be like humans. This is gonna sound pretty racist from coming from a gold dragon, but I think it'd be like humans eating monkeys, chimpanzees or gorillas.
You
So
could
I
have
know.
said like fish eating other kinds of fish, like an octopus eating a fish or something. But like,
No.
No?
I want you to know that they're less than metallic dragon.
oh, great. Okay, cool.
Yeah. See the Bahamut, when he created dragons.
Hey, this is
Also-
something that you guys should think about in your campaign: is what are the interactions between chromatic dragons and metallic dragons? Like, is there like a war going on between them? Do they just kind of steer clear of each other? Is it very territorial? Are there mixed color dragons? Like, do the color dragons get along with one another? Is there like a secret relationship between like a chromatic dragon and a metallic dragon? Is there something like, these are all kind of things that you want to take into account when it comes to dragons, because these are things that your characters are going to be really excited to find out. Most likely.
Yeah. Draconic culture. There is draconic culture that you can go find. I'm not sure where it's from. It might be from like Dragon Magazine issue, whatever. I don't know. But there is like a lot of stuff about draconic culture. There's this thing about like blue dragons have like something kind of close to like an emperor, that all the blue dragons listen to this one blue dragon. And that kind of reflects their lawful nature. Green dragons will kind of have like a fey court kind of a thing, where there's like a few people, like princes of power kind of a thing, but they're always kind of trying to one up each other and strip away the badges of authority and steal from each other and things like that. It's
Yeah.
very chaotic.
I think that's
culture.
where I heard about the black dragons having a very like almost swarm mentality, or like very, very tightly packed within their families, their groups, and operating more as a group.
Wow, this world is not big enough to have
It's a swarm of black
swarms of black dragons.
Boy.
Goodness gracious. Where red dragons have like one dictator type, leader at the top, fascist leader kind of a thing, where the other dragons all hate and fear the powerful, most elder red dragon. kind of like lions, right? Like the male lion chases away all the other male
Yeah.
lions and hoards the female lion. So something like that, something that shows like this,
Very clear
hatred.
dominance and like fear and
Yeah, like a
control.
Sith kind of culture, like from Star Wars, where they're always trying to like kill their way up the ladder.
Yeah.
Which is probably why there's not a ton of red dragons. They're always there. There's a lot
Man.
of infighting and a lot of
Yeah.
vying to be the most powerful red dragon. They already believe as red dragons it's their birthright that they're better than all the other dragons.
Yeah.
Uh, and so they really only care about the politics between themselves because they all the other dragons already don't count for who's the best dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you weren't even the running.
Um,
Like,
Ice dragons are just really isolated.
mm.
They're just very isolated.
That's me laughing at your joke because it's really
So not a lot of culture. But every once in a while, they probably all like return to some breeding ground or something
yeah. So,
to
mm,
to get laid and then go
get
home.
down.
Yeah, probably there's probably like some part of some ocean that freezes over, and then they all start migrating across,
Mm.
like salmon going back to Alaska.
You know, it's interesting, like, because dragons are sometimes portrayed as like, they're ancient beings that have been here from the beginning of the time, and no one really knows where they came from. But also, they can be portrayed as like, yes, they are creatures that mate like any other animal. Like I think you can kind of portray them how you like. Like you can have dragons have lineages, or be like, no, this chromatic dragon is like one of the first. Maybe like
Yeah,
a couple chromatic dragons were created at the dawn of time, and they've been lasting out for however long. Or maybe like occasionally an egg will form from an element that causes a dragon to be born. Like finding what your dragon's origins are, I think is also going to reflect how they interact with one another.
yeah. You could even have dramatic.
Dramatic
These
dragons.
dragons are just so dramatic. You could even have chromatic dragons come from hell, since Tiamat is a devil queen.
Oh boy.
So you could even have like red dragons are
Hmm.
from hell. Like they literally
Yeah.
are from hell. Like they're not native to the material plane. You could
Mm.
have like, if you cast banish or something, or when you kill a red dragon, it like all portal opens up and it gets ripped back into hell, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Or
Um,
or the flame of fire, the plane of fire.
the Shadowfell
Yeah.
or whatever, some sort of thing that shows that they're not of this. They're literally not of this world. Is something that you
Mm.
could consider as a part of your dragons, making like dragon. I mean, dragons are its own type, so like to just tack on dragon and then devil or demon seems a little weird.
Yeah.
But it's sort of a thing. I mean, yeah, kind of add to their mystical power.
Sure.
Dragons.
Definitely. That's all like something that you can point to and express in your campaign. And then there are so many adventures. Like I think the greatest thing about dragons in D&D are because they're such huge beasts. They're such like powerful creatures that anytime that one is introduced, like it's going to be a point of interest for the party. Like I don't think like there's any particular setting where a dragon's interactions, whether they're peaceful or destructive or like curious, that aren't going to catch a party's interest.
Mm. Yeah, and I think if you're a player, you can even think about how are interesting ways you can include dragons in your backstory. Do you
Mm,
have a dragon as a patron? Do you have a dragon that is the thing that killed your family? Is the dragon the reason you're on an adventure now? Are you hunting them
yeah.
or are you running from them?
Mm.
Uh, you know, is there were you given a quest by a dragon? Like, hey, I want you to retrieve this thing or this, find my egg or whatever.
Yeah. Maybe you like maybe there's something that's like an ancient family heirloom that is trapped in a dragon's hoard, but you're not sure which dragon. So you have to you're venturing out to try and find which one it is.
Yeah. Other thing you can think about are mixed colored dragons. This I think was something D&D, like Wizards of the Coast, kind of played around with a little bit here and there,
Hmm.
like a purple dragon,
Hmm.
and like a yellow dragon and things like that, which is like dragons that are mixed. Like a, I don't know what colors specifically, but certain dragons
Teal.
mixing
Yeah.
teal dragon, and coming up with like unique breath weapons and vulnerabilities and resistances and personality types, and also can there be mixes between metallic and chromatic dragons?
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like a half gold, half red dragon. That'd be like
Rose
a
gold.
rose gold dragon. Uh,
Yeah.
and what is that kind of creature like? It's typically not the thing. I can't remember if mixed dragons are sterile. I think that's a thing that they mentioned in the older versions.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's the thing in real life. Like all hybrid creatures are usually, if they can be born, they're born sterile. It's a form of like genetic block that happens with mixed creatures.
Yeah, because it's like they're similar enough that the DNA stuff combines, but not properly or
Yeah,
something. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's written into the genetic code somewhere. But I think
yeah,
that it's also, it's if you can find a way to make it work, it's pretty cool to have like a mixed dragon because then you can play a lot more into like where that dragon came from, its origin, how people react to that dragon, not knowing what it is. Like maybe
mm,
you can even play that dragon if it is a mix of chromatic and metallic, then maybe it's at war with itself, like acting on its like higher good impulses and also its desire for power and dominance. Like
yeah. Or
they're
like a green red dragon having a breath weapon that does acid damage, then fire damage, and it looks like a cloud of acid. Sorry, a cloud poison damage and then fire damage. And it looks like the cloud of poison goes out and then bursts into flames all at
yeah.
once,
Oh my god.
like an explosion kind of a thing.
It's so cool. Yeah, or like an ice dragon and a blue dragon could be like this like freezing voltage like spray of ice and lightning, all like essentially a thunderstorm of a dragon, like all happening at once.
Yeah, like ice shards that shock you on impact.
Yeah.
um, or like maybe it blows like a water breath out the first time, and then the second time does double damage.
Yeah,
Gives you
yeah.
like vulnerability to lightning, and then it hits you with the lightning damage after you're wet.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, or like it like sprays the floor with water and then lightning breaths the floor
Hmm.
to do like a cone effect when of lightning damage when they normally just do a line effect. So
Yeah, that's something interesting to consider as well because the lines and cones are different. They meld. I can't imagine like a black dragon and a green dragon. Like I feel like if you had that in your campaign, like you would have to play it that anything around it, like it just lives in a world of rot. Like trees are dying around it, like the ground around it melts because that's acid and poison. That's a bad combination.
mm,
It's a that's like death of the dragon.
yeah, I guess you could also bring Tiamat into all this of kind of like, well, why is that not a thing?
Mm.
And it's probably because it's like Tiamat believes in the perfection of her creation, and she's like, do not cross the streams. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of like if you have a child that's mixed of two different chromatic dragons, it's like it'll likely be cursed, uh, or cultists of Tiamat will come after them to destroy them because it's like goes against, her design, her ideal.
Yeah, for sure. Which is interesting. Like, it's also cool to see how Tiamat ties into your campaign. If you choose to have her be a part of it, like having the chromatic dragons have a more almost religious connection to Tiamat, like praise and worship. Whether Tiamat makes an actual appearance in your campaign.
I think a lot of the dragons, my perspective of drag, it would be like just fear,
Yeah.
the tyranny of dragons, right? Like they would just be afraid of Tiamat, and would be a relationship of fear and pain and dominance and kind of avoidance.
Really bad home life. Like really awkward parents. Like just the worst. Like
Yeah, I was thinking more like afraid. You're a Nazi, but you were drafted. You didn't sign up for it, kind of a thing, and you're like you don't want to be a Nazi, but you don't want anyone to find out.
Oh, geez.
That kind of fear.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty terrifying.
Yeah. So like, they don't speak with Tiamat with reverence or beauty, but one of fear and terror. And their offerings are out of survival, not out of
Not out of
dedication
yeah.
or faith.
Which you could definitely juxtapose with Baphomet and the metallic dragons, which is I'm excited for our next conversation because I think metallic dragons are just as fun to go into as the
way more fun, man. Metallic dragons, they're where it's at.
Yeah, you're one to talk.
Metallic dragons are the best.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Created by the divine.
So it seems.
That is what's so good.
We'll talk about it. We'll get it all out on the table.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out, listening to our episode.
Yeah.
If you want, if you're watching us on Twitch right now, thanks.
Yeah.
If you'd like to watch us live, we record these episodes live. You can catch us recording these episodes as they happen in the real time on Twitch, the Twitchity Twitch. We also
/Nosy Dragon.
That's right. The link is in the description. You can also find us on Spotify and a bunch of other places you'd find podcasts. There's links to all that all over the place on our YouTube homepage. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. And
go ahead and leave us.
Get out of my tavern.
Okay, all right. Oh shit! Oh god, it's hatching. I'll see you later. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring it in. Oh god, what am I gonna do with the red dragon egg? Damn!
He's gonna die.